Hi, I'm Karen Woodfield, a visual artist based in Bath, and I've designed for you a project to create a squash book, which is a type of mini book. Mini books are a really versatile way of showing off your artwork, and they're great to give as gifts. And I want to show you some hints and tips and a few different variations that you might want to consider when you're making your own book. Now, I've specifically designed the worksheet to fit the mindful doodles that were created in one of the previous Pathways to Wellbeing workshop, which is the one that's here, where I've been able to cut up my doodles and glue them into the book, and I also use another doodle for the cover. Here's another one where I've done some doodles on some recycled envelopes. Another example is here. Now this one's covered in recycled greeting card paper, and this one is completely blank inside, but that does mean that you can put additional artwork in there. You could do some writing or stick in your own artwork. Let me just show you how it opens and folds, and that's what makes these things really special. Here's another example that's covered in recycled gift wrap, and this one's got more gift wrap and coordinating coloured card inside. So again, it just opens and closes, and that's really special. And my last example here is a smaller one, and this one's got photographs in, so you can have small photos and then there's space around there to record memories, or you could just add some additional coordinating paper and card into the little mini book. So now we're going to go on to actually making the books, and I'm going to show you some hints and tips to get a really good finish. This video is designed to be used alongside the worksheet, and I'm going to assume that you've cut all your pieces of paper and card to fit before we start. I'm a big fan of using a paper trimmer, and it's probably my most used craft tool, but you can do it just with a ruler and a pencil. So we're going to make the front cover first of all, and what we're aiming to do is fold around the corners of our front cover around our cardboard centre. And the key thing here is to make sure these corners all neatly meet together. So I'm going to show you how to do that. Now, we've glued down the cardboard, and we've got the printed side facing up, and that just means that when we turn it over, we don't get our packaging logos and things showing through our artwork. We're going to trim these corners here at 45 degrees. Now you can do this by eye, you don't need to measure that, but what we want to do is look really carefully at where the point of the cardboard is. We don't want to trim the edge of that cover paper too close to that point. Now if you do trim it too close, I'll show you what happens on this one. You get a gap in the middle, and that's not really what we want. We want to cover the cardboard completely. However, if you don't trim it close enough, you get too much paper sticking out. So it's like Goldilocks, it's porridge, it needs to be just right. So my big suggestion here is that you trim the corners and you make sure it's folded over and you're happy with it before you glue it down. So trim off is about a millimetre and a half away from that pointed corner. So there's a tiny gap there, so when we fold over, the two edges come together perfectly. I'll show you that again. So they just come together. So that's too close, and that's too far away from the point, and that one is just right. So we're now going to make the inside pages, and you can make as many pages as you like, as long as it's an odd number of pages. Now I'm using a piece of recycled envelope here, and just so you can see the front and the back. So first of all, we're going to fold across the diagonal. Now the neater you fold this, the better. So try and line it up as best as you can, and then you smooth away from you and out. Now, if you use the back of a spoon, or professional bookmakers would use something called a bone folder, and the thicker the paper, or if you start using lightweight cardboard, the better that fold is creased down, the better the book's going to fold. So you now need to open that up and flip it over. And now we're going to fold in half. And again, we're going to just try and do that as neat as we can. And then we're going to push away from us and out. Smooth it down, turn it 45 degrees, Line that up, push along and out, and use our spoon to smooth that down. Now you might wonder how we go from a flat piece of paper into our folded sheets, and it just sort of does really. It just pops up, you pop those two sides in, and look, it folds into a sort of a flowery shape. And we again push that down and just smooth those creases down. And look, it just opens and folds really nicely. And we're making 3 of those, or 5 or 7. I'm going to show you a little tip here, just so you get the hang of how these 3 elements are going to go together. There's a little bit of a tip here. So just to get the idea of it, we're going to use blue tack just to temporarily stick these together, just so you can see how it opens and folds. And then you can go ahead and glue it. Now, there's 2 ways of looking at it. The first one is we just look at we've got a flower facing up, a flower facing down, and they just drop together. And then we've got the petals facing up, petals facing down, and they just slot together. Here we go. They open and fold together really nicely. So another way of showing that, if this more suits your learning style, to take your first piece, and we want the diagonal fold facing upwards. See the diagonal fold there? Put a bit of blue tack on there, and then we stick on our second piece. And then we're going to take our third piece, again pretending that blue tack is our glue. I'm going to stick it on, and then that just folds in, that one folds in, and then the whole thing just folds together as neatly as that. Now let's put on our covers then. So we're now going to glue the covers to the stack of paper. So here's our stack of paper. Now we're going to stick one cover there and one cover on the other side. So we glue on this surface, and then we stick it down onto our card so we don't see any of this inside cardboard, and try and make that as central as possible. Here it is stuck down. You can see it's still opening and closing on the cover. So we now need to put the second cover on, but before we do that we need to stop, pause for a second and look at our ribbon. Now I've selected some coordinating ribbon, and we need to glue it through the centre of the second cover. Now we need to make sure that we've got more on one side than the other, and that means when we book folds together, the bow ties on the side. We're going to glue this surface and then sandwich the ribbon between our book and our second cover. I'm going to put that down like that, making sure that the covers are lined up perfectly. So you can leave it at this stage. If you are going to leave it to dry at this stage, leave it to dry open, and then if you've got any other bits of glue on it, it won't end up sticking together. But you can go ahead and do your internal decorations. So let's just show you your options again. This is one with the mindful doodles. So for each of the pages I've got a square and then one of the squares cut in half, and just to glue those down. So that's a nice and simple option. Our other option was using a mixture of different patterns. So again, we can put our mindful doodles in here, or you can put your own photos, you can put your own artwork on these spaces, and you can layer up your artwork with the background. So remember, you can add on more pages, but obviously you've got to add the more pages in before you put your covers on. So 3, 5 or 7 is ideal. So that's our project completed. Once it's dry, it's always good to just press it under a heavy book for a day or so, and again it just gives them that just nice professional finish to get everything squashed down. I hope you enjoy making your own mini books, and I look forward to seeing the results on social media. Thank you.